Do you guys ever just feel at peace whenever something that you love so much gets the love and care that it deserves? Like if you see a stray pet you know gets adopted by a loving family, or your child getting recognition from their coach? Yeah, that's how I feel about Persona 3 Reload. Except it's better and cooler than all those cringe examples because this game fucks and is a certified banger.
Phew. It is hot as hell in this freaky ass hot ass room I'm in.
Is that the Grim Reaper?
I love Persona 3 FES, and while I was so hyped for Reload's release, I did have doubts that it would be given proper justice or toned down for modern audiences. However, the Persona team cooked here because all of the elements I adored have either been kept intact or completely overhauled in a way that I love even more. Whenever Persona 3 Reload was announced, I was like this.
Oh my god, no! Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh god!
And also a little like this. Waiting for this game has been actual agony, but it was well worth it, my friends, because while the game does by all accounts have its problems, it is able to improve pretty much every aspect of Persona 3 to make it much more palatable for modern audiences, while also giving old fans a reason to replay the game with its amazing story and to see all of the new gameplay improvements. I'm going to break this video into sections to talk about the most important aspects of the game that I think how it completely improved, or at times slightly improved, how aspects of the game functioned compared to Persona 3 FES. Oh yeah, and I should also mention that the comparisons that I am drawing in this video are all going to be from my experience from emulating Persona 3 FES on modern hardware, so I don't have any informed opinions about versions like Persona 3 Portable. This video is also going to be spoiler-free for my non-Persona viewers to make this reach the largest audience possible and get as many people into the series as possible since I am a grade A Persona game glazer.
God damn, Jimmy. This some serious gourmet shit.
I am now becoming more and more familiar with Atlus's capabilities as a company as far as how they craft visuals. And let me say that compared to previous entries in the series, Persona 3 Reload spoils me rotten with how amazing the character models look, the lighting of the game, and last but definitely not least, the stellar UI design and how amazing it looks. To start, the character models in Reload are so much more visually detailed than compared to previous games. The models for this game actually made me look back at Persona 5 character models, which I thought looked good enough, and sullied my appreciation of how they look just a little bit. I have to give major appreciation to the artists and developers on Reload because this game looks amazing and actually looks like the next generation for Persona. The lighting that Unreal Engine 4 allowed the developers to make is incredible and allowed for some pretty impressive mood lighting for all kinds of important and casual scenes. One main example that showcases this for me is when all the characters are going outside during the dark hour. The green lighting on the character models as well as the light that is reflected in their portraits is so awesome and really gives any scene that takes place outside a real otherworldly and supernatural feel. As well as the character models, the talking head character portraits at the bottom left of the screen have also been completely redone, with gorgeous art that just feels as expressive as in the original Persona 3, if not even more so now. As you will see as a common theme in this video, all of the improvements seem like they are genuinely bringing Persona 3 to the modern era. While they did get rid of some portraits that I genuinely think were a mistake not to recreate more faithfully, I'm looking at you two, Fuka cross-eyed portrait and Yukari goofy maid outfit portrait, my beloved. Alright, now time for the part of the visual section that Persona rightfully gets the most praise and credit towards, the user interface design. While Persona 3 and 4 definitely had functional user interfaces with some style mixed in, Persona 5 changed the game with its slick style and user interface that even non-fans associate with the game. Having a really amazing and unique interface not only gives your game so much more of a unique personality, but it keeps browsing menus in a game genre that is notorious for its Excel spreadsheet-like interfaces much more palatable to do for up to 100 hours. Every tab on the user menu has its own unique art and animation associated with it that gives the game such a fantastic sense of style that helps reinforce the themes that Persona 3 presents, while also making it flow so much better for modern audiences. Seriously, everyone that worked in the user interface for this game deserves a raise and a nice pat on the ass, because when I first saw animations for the changing of the times of day, I came. However, I think where the game lacks is some jarring animations here and there that are thankfully pretty sparse in this game. I'm referring to moments like in the opening of the game that was also in the trailer, like the track students that were running in front of the school. I also played this game on PC through Xbox Game Pass, and I don't know if the issue is only in the Xbox version of PC, but I had the strange graphical issue that gave weird shading lines on the characters' faces no matter what the lighting was. I had to install a mod to fix it, which also unlocked my frame rate. I will put a link in the description to the mod that fixed it for me, but I thought this issue was worth mentioning as something that affected my experience. Thankfully, the best parts of the modern Persona series gameplay is here, and the excellent balance of time spent in and out of dungeons is also present. The innovations outside of combat include more shops for the player to visit, new activities to do in Tatsumi Port Island, and new activities to do with the social links. The new shops and options available to the player are awesome and give you, the player, even more ways to spend your time in a game where time is already very limited. And additions to areas like the club where you can get fortune readings to increase your luck and other stats before going into Tartarus are very reminiscent of the fortune teller in Persona 5, but fits in right here as well as it lets you get the best of each adventure into Tartarus. When Koromaru gets introduced into the game, there are more events added that involve him, so you can spend even more time with him than you got to in Fes, by being able to take him out on walks more often while also doing more activities with him. But it is not just limited to Koromaru. Every member of SEAS gets social events that you can complete during normal life sections of the game. And let me tell you, I adore these sections. Not only do you get to hang out with all of your favorite characters in a realistic way without making full-on social links for them, but you get a deeper appreciation for these different aspects of their character that might not have been picked up on much otherwise. For example, it is mentioned in base Persona 3 that Shinjiro enjoys cooking, and I have seen that there are more mentions of this in Portable. But in Reload, Makoto can actually spend time cooking with Shinjiro, get advice from him about cooking, and learning more about his character and who taught him how to cook as well. This is such an amazing addition and helps soften the blow of the fact that there are still no social links for the male SEAS members. I love these characters so much after beating Persona 3 Fes, but after doing all their social links for all the added events in the dorm, finishing the game felt like it was going to rip my heart out that I have to say goodbye. I found it interesting that the developers chose not to change any of the social stats that Persona 3 had, because famously there are only 3 stats to level up: Charm, Courage, and Academics. While I admire their faithfulness to the source material, I personally wouldn't have minded having more social stats similar to the tune of Persona 5. That way you have to focus on certain areas in a massive wheel to get closer to certain characters that you like most, and then by the end of the game you will be able to get close to everyone because you have grown as a person with everyone. As it currently stands, you will probably have every social stat in the game maxed out by the halfway point, which is kind of disappointing personally. One thing I found personally really interesting is that most of the social links are pretty much unchanged apart from a few examples, which I gotta give major respect to, as I loved most of the social links from the original game, and I think the changes they made were overall beneficial for the game. Also, I was really pleasantly surprised to find out the social link reversal is still in the game, as I think that is a really cool aspect to Persona 3 social links, and it was awesome having it here, even if social links breaking have been removed. Same thing for shuffle time. They could have removed it in favor of demon negotiation, but I love me some shuffle time. Finally, let's talk about the combat in this game. Famously, in my review of the modern Persona trilogy, I outed myself as one of the few Tartarus fans in Persona 3 Fes. This was because while yes, most of the floors are randomly generated, I believe that what Tartarus represents and how traversal works is very effective. While yes, having one dungeon that is almost fully randomly generated can be a very negative thing, I believe that it fit the theme of Tartarus being a seemingly endless maze of time and space that you can see most people feeling lost and helpless in, but your small team braves the darkness and fights to save mankind. As far as the traversal, I could very often rush the stairs on each floor if I got bored of the gameplay, which was great compared to having wide open floors that progress very slowly. I also enjoyed the option that the original game had where you can split up your party members on the floor and explore separately, as well as each member has a condition on how well they feel, because it made the characters feel way more independent and like real people as part of a team. And I am proud to say that a lot of what I just praised is present in Reload as well. While the combat gameplay in Fes is nothing exceptional, Reload adds a lot of the innovations that Persona 5 introduced, such as being able to pass turns, each character having special moves, and that glorious interface that is so damn smooth and fun to use. I enjoyed the addition of a nerfed version of Baton Pass from Persona 5, as being able to pass turns is very nice for knocking down enemies, and it being nerfed didn't bother me too much, since Baton Pass was quite broken in Persona 5. Instead of giving characters wacky combo moves like in Persona 5, each character in Reload basically has what can be considered an ultimate move which does a ton of damage and plays a super stylish cutscene of the character being a badass in a way that fits their character. I personally love either form of implementing ultimate moves, group or individual, and I think this was done amazingly well in this game. Tartarus has been improved for modern audiences a lot, with options that let you level unused characters really fast, as well as adding more challenging rooms that is super fun to experience Tartarus again. I also really love that most teleporters can take you both ways from the entrance and back now, as it makes rotating party members much more feasible and fun to do. I will say, however, it does feel like the floors are a good deal more spread out since there are more things on each floor to accommodate for, so it can feel like certain floors really drag on, but it isn't too much of a big deal. I am very glad that the developers focused on improving Tartarus by just adding more accessibility and ease of use features, rather than giving it a complete redesign similar to Persona 5 Palaces, because Tartarus and its original design are crucial to Persona 3's feel. It could be the fact that the floors are more spread out, making it harder to stair rush, or the fact that this is my second playthrough of Persona 3, but Tartarus definitely feels more tedious than it did before, but overall I think the changes made to the dungeon design have been very good. I will also use this section to talk about this soundtrack because let me tell you, in pretty much every instance, Reload's soundtrack is absolutely fantastic, and each redone track improves on each song in a massive way. The most prominent example of this is Changing of Seasons and a new edition called It's Going Down Now, which are both fantastic. The only misstep I think in the new set of tracks is Deep Breath, as the female vocals don't hit the same as they do in the original game, but a wholly remixed soundtrack with only one misstep is a major accomplishment for the Atlus sound team. This section will most likely be the shortest because I have not fully completed Reload, as I have just a few more areas to complete, but I've seen a large number of major moments for myself, and the rest I have viewed online for the sake of this video. For the most part, I would just like to say, Atlus, thank you for keeping the original vision of Persona 3 intact for this release, and keeping pretty much every major scene unchanged, or if it was changed, it was done so with so much care that I can really tell as a fan of the original game. If you watched my last video on Persona and the Persona 3 section where I talked about spoilers, all of the specific moments I absolutely adore from the original game have either been directly ported or retouched in a way that is incredibly faithful, that at first I thought these moments were in the base game. Strike has also been massively improved throughout the game as they get more screen time than they did in the original game, and they get way more in-depth moments. The story still slaps and is so faithful that I even have my original complaint that I think the pacing of the whole game is still kinda meh, as it feels like there is too much downtime at times. However, the part of the game that I take the largest issue with so far in my playthrough and in my research has to be the opening. I had an entire section dedicated to the opening animated cutscene in Persona 3 FES, and how much I loved how it uses horror elements in it, especially the use of sound effects and eerie imagery. In Reload, I found it to be extremely toned down, like the moment of Yukari pointing the evoker at herself does not have the same tension for first-time players, because for me, the original scene had me holding my breath because I did not know what the hell was going on. I found the way the original cutscene showed every scene as claustrophobic and noisy to be a genius way to get the player on edge at the start of the game, and I couldn't help but feel that this sense of unease is missing because Atlus wanted to make the game more accessible to new fans.
Just put it to my head. And then pull the trigger. Come on. There's no way I can't.
However, this complaint does get balanced out a little bit considering Makoto's awakening scene is so badass compared to the original scene. Seriously, it is so much cooler here. Thankfully, every other story beat hits the same mark for me, and thankfully the Yukari beach scene is still incredible and the updated graphics at the beach make the scene so much more beautiful visually. True cinema. While I do believe that the remake does lose its footing very rarely, Reload is a modern miracle for me in AAA gaming, and without a doubt will be my game of the year, just because of how much love was put into it. This adaptation being so amazing does raise the question for new fans of Persona 3, should I play this remake or the original Persona 3 FES first? Personally, I think that Reload innovates on almost every single negative aspect of the original game. While I do think that FES for me will stay as one of my favorite games, as it is a product of its time and still has some really unique mechanics in it, like the condition system and the social links breaking, pretty much every new fan should play Reload instead because it is much more palatable. However, I do recommend dedicated fans play Persona 3 FES to get that unique experience for themselves, as well as go see the roots of the series. Also, the Answer is getting remade. Let's fucking go, Answer fans. We stay winning. Also, I went to Japan on a trip recently and I got these cool Final Fantasy VII figures that are modeled after the overworld character models in the game. It's so amazing, the figure depicts them in all their low poly glory. I just wanted to say that they need to make figures of these low poly models for the Persona 3 FES character models or the Persona 4 character models. I would buy figures of that concept so fast, Atlus. Please, please, please. Other than that very necessary request, Reload stands as a testament to me about what can be done today in the modern video game industry if the ones in charge have enough love and care put into their projects, and I'll be forever grateful to Atlus for it. Thanks everyone for watching this video, and I hope you guys have a great one. Peace.